Lately, it feels like the situation involving Papoose and Claressa Shields has become just as much about social media as it is about their relationship. Every few days, there's another post, another headline, or another comment that gets people talking. And now, once again, Claressa has found herself at the center of another debate after referring to Papoose as her hubby while he's still legally married to Remy Ma. That comment immediately sparked reactions online, with many people arguing that no matter what their current relationship status may be, Papoose is still legally married. Critics pointed out that calling him a husband before the divorce is finalized crosses a line, especially when Claressa frequently speaks about faith and credits God for the blessings in her life. Some commentators were especially critical of that point. They argued that if someone openly talks about living by biblical values, then they should also respect the commitment of marriage until it's officially over. In their view, referring to Papoose as her husband while he's still legally married sends the wrong message, regardless of how the relationship between him and Remy Ma currently stands. The conversation didn't stop there. Claressa's critics also compared her current situation to what's happening with fellow boxing star Alicia Baumgardner. They pointed out that Alicia has continued expanding her career with major opportunities outside the ring, including landing a spot on Fox's Special Forces. To them, Alicia's momentum shows the rewards of staying focused on her career rather than becoming involved in public relationship drama. Meanwhile, Claressa has been preparing for her upcoming August 15th fight, but even her training camp became part of the conversation. She shared a post explaining that her routine consists of training hard before going home, where, as she put it, her hubby, Papoose, massages her legs and back after workouts. That single word immediately grabbed everyone's attention. The comments filled up almost instantly, with many people questioning why she would refer to Papoose that way while his divorce has not yet been finalized. Some users even replied by asking, "Don't you mean Remy Ma's husband?" Claressa didn't stay quiet for long. She responded by saying that Papoose had already filed for divorce and asked people to leave them alone. But that response only created even more discussion. Many people pushed back, arguing that the public wasn't inserting itself into the situation, it was simply reacting to posts that Claressa herself chose to share online. From their perspective, every new update about the relationship naturally invites public discussion. Others argued that if someone chooses to make their personal life public, they also have to accept that people will have opinions about it. In today's social media world, fans are always going to react when celebrities voluntarily share details about controversial relationships. The criticism continued as some commenters claimed there was nothing positive about celebrating a relationship that remains surrounded by unresolved questions. Others maintained that regardless of where Papoose and Remy Ma currently stand personally, the legal marriage still exists until the divorce process is complete. One commenter took things even further by writing that God did not give Claressa a married man and warned that relationships that begin under controversial circumstances often come with consequences. That opinion quickly gained traction as more users joined the discussion, debating whether faith should even be brought into the conversation. Claressa eventually fired back, telling critics not to involve God in what she described as her personal situation. But that response only fueled even more reactions, with others insisting that because faith had already been mentioned publicly, it naturally became part of the larger conversation surrounding the relationship. And just like that, what started as a simple social media post about recovery after training turned into another viral debate involving relationships, faith, marriage, and public perception, keeping Claressa Shields, Papoose, and Remy Ma right back at the center of the headlines.
One of the biggest points critics continue to make is that Claressa has repeatedly talked about wanting to start a family with Papoose while he's still legally married. That has only added more fuel to the conversation, especially because she has also spoken publicly about believing that God brought them together. For many people, those two ideas simply don't line up. Some commenters argued that God wouldn't lead someone into a relationship with a person who is still legally married. Others responded by saying that regardless of personal beliefs, the legal process should be allowed to play out before making public declarations about marriage or future plans. The discussion quickly turned into a broader debate about faith, accountability, and public image. Critics questioned how someone could frequently reference God while also defending a relationship they believe began under controversial circumstances. Supporters, on the other hand, argued that nobody truly knows every detail of what happened behind closed doors, and that outsiders shouldn't pretend they have the full story. That difference in perspective is exactly why this topic continues to divide people online. During the discussion, attention also shifted back to Alicia Baumgartner after an interviewer recently asked her about previous tension involving Claressa. Rather than getting into personal attacks, Alicia kept her answer short by saying that, in the end, consequences are consequences. That brief response immediately caught people's attention. When the interviewer tried to get Alicia to explain whether she meant consequences inside the boxing ring or outside of it, she didn't really elaborate. Instead, she simply repeated that consequences are consequences, leaving people to interpret her statement however they wanted. Since then, many fans have connected Alicia's recent career momentum to that comment. Over the past several months, Alicia has continued building her profile outside of boxing. One of the biggest announcements was her appearance on Fox's Special Forces, a nationally televised series that has already established itself over multiple seasons. For many supporters, landing a major television opportunity like that is another sign that her career continues moving in a positive direction. Meanwhile, Claressa has remained active with appearances of her own, but critics argue that much of the conversation surrounding her lately has focused more on controversy than accomplishments. Whether that's a fair assessment or not depends on who you ask. Supporters of Claressa point to her achievements inside the ring and argue that her boxing resume speaks for itself. Critics, however, believe her public image has become increasingly tied to relationship headlines instead of athletic success. That contrast has become a major talking point whenever the two champions are mentioned together. Some observers even argue that personality and public perception now play almost as large a role as championship belts when it comes to endorsement opportunities and mainstream exposure. From that perspective, they believe character, professionalism, and public image can sometimes influence opportunities just as much as accomplishments inside the ring. Others completely disagree and believe athletic performance should remain the only thing that matters. Regardless of where people stand, one thing is obvious. Every new interview, every social media post, and every public response keeps this story alive. Instead of fading away, the conversation continues growing as more people weigh in with their own opinions about the relationship, the ongoing divorce, and the public back and forth surrounding everyone involved. And with Claressa preparing for another fight while the online debate refuses to slow down, it doesn't look like these headlines are disappearing anytime soon.
As the conversation continued, some people also pointed to what Remy Ma has been doing since all of this drama became public. While the attention has largely been on Claressa and Papoose, Remy has stayed busy with her own career, making appearances, performing at events, and continuing to build her brand. Supporters argue that regardless of everything happening around her personal life, she has managed to keep moving forward professionally. That contrast has become another major talking point online. Some fans believe Remy has handled the situation by letting her work speak for itself instead of constantly responding to every headline. Others point out that she's continued performing alongside artists like Fat Joe and appearing at major events, keeping the focus on her career rather than the controversy. Meanwhile, Papoose has also found himself under increased scrutiny. Some critics argue that much of his recent social media activity has centered around revisiting past accomplishments instead of creating new moments. Others disagree and say he's simply reminding fans of the legacy he's already built. Either way, his name continues to trend more because of his personal life than his music, and that's something many people have noticed. At the same time, Claressa has continued sharing posts from the studio and teasing different projects outside of boxing. Those updates have generated mixed reactions. Supporters see them as proof that she's expanding her brand, while critics believe she's spending too much time responding to controversy instead of letting her accomplishments speak for themselves. Another topic that keeps resurfacing is the dynamic between Claressa and Papoose whenever they appear together publicly. Some fans have analyzed photos and interviews, claiming the body language between them looks awkward at times. Others completely dismiss those observations, arguing that it's impossible to judge an entire relationship based on a few pictures or short video clips. Like many celebrity relationships, much of the discussion is driven by public perception rather than confirmed facts. Still, that hasn't stopped people from sharing their opinions. At the center of all of this is one simple reality. Every new post, interview, or public appearance seems to reignite the conversation. Instead of moving away from the headlines, the situation keeps finding its way back into public discussion, with social media users dissecting every comment and every interaction. Whether you agree with Claressa, support Papoose, or sympathize with Remy Ma, one thing is clear: this story has become much bigger than boxing. It's now a conversation about relationships, public image, accountability, and how social media can amplify every personal decision made by public figures. As more interviews take place and more people share their perspectives, it's likely that we'll continue hearing different sides of the story. Until then, much of the public discussion remains based on opinions rather than confirmed facts, and that's important to keep in mind. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything that's happened? Do you think Claressa has been treated unfairly by the public, or do you believe the criticism she's receiving is justified? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.